What do you think is the most polarizing Kirby game?
Oh, goodness.
Is it
Is
not
it
this
this?
one?
It might be. That's what I was thinking. I was like, this might be the one.
Yeah, if it's polarizing, it may be this one.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Kirby Conversations. I'm Sean Douglas. I'm a writer, podcaster, and teacher. I am back again with Gigi. Hi, Gigi.
Hi, I'm Gigi. I'm the editor-in-chief of Kirby. I do some Kirby translations, and I'm just a big Kirby fan from Brazil.
And we are also very happy to welcome back friend of the show, Nick McConnell. Hi, Nick.
Hey, Sean, how are you? Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I'm Nick. I host Instruction Derby over on Twitch on Wednesdays, and I'm just excited to be here talking about Kirby.
And you're also active with age ratings management at Riot.
That is correct. I'm not here on those terms, but that is in fact what I do. Yes, for work.
Yeah, busy with the world of making sure content is okay across different countries.
Oh my God, it is a busy time right now. Is underselling it.
And last time you were here, Nick, we talked about Kirby Canvas Curse, and we had talked about how neither one of us had played Kirby and the Rainbow Curse before. So this is in some ways a follow-up to that episode. Listeners don't have to go back and listen to that one. But if you have heard that one, this is that follow-up that we talked about doing down the road. So we have both finally played it. We have not beaten it, but Gigi is here as a full expert who has played the full thing. And this is also sort of a reflection, I think, on the Wii U too. That's kind of one of my biggest takeaways, was just like how interesting it was to play a game that was like so rooted in the Wii U hardware that couldn't really exist on any other platform in quite the same way. So we'll be talking about Rainbow Curse, and I think we'll be talking about just the Wii U kind of more broadly and what it was like to play the Wii U again. Does that sound good with everyone?
It sounds great.
Yeah.
And before we start, I should mention that Kirby Conversations is part of the Soundstone Podcast Network, along with Flashback 64 and Pixels and Polygons. So when you're done with this show, you might want to check out those as well. So just getting the conversation rolling, which is not meant to be a pun, but is kind of a pun for this game. But to get the conversation rolling, what were your first impressions of the game, or how did it feel to be playing this game?
You know, I'll jump in. It's funny. So my first impressions of the game were that it's weird to play the Wii U in 2025. It's a janky is the wrong word for this. It is a more particular system than I remember it being. I think that, however many years it's been of improvements to software and all that, it was very slow to use the Wii U. It was kind of quirky to move around it. My system tried to update. That was an interesting thing. My system tried to update, and I'm not sure there's anything to connect to update anymore, the Wii U system. But once I got into the game itself, I was honestly surprised at just how new it felt. As we mentioned, I have not played it. I love Canvas Curse. So playing this just felt like a brand new game to me. And some of that is it's gorgeous. It looks just incredible. The art design, everything about it, it's so smooth and it sounds amazing. And I was just sitting there kind of dumbfounded, why hadn't I played this before? And the reason, of course, that I hadn't played it before was because my Wii U has been in a box in the closet for, 9 years probably. But I was so grateful for the opportunity to break it out and play it again. I love this game.
Yeah, I think that the claymation angle for it is so successful.
Mm-hmm.
It never feels like a gimmick. It's just a beautiful video game.
Yeah.
And it almost made me wish that I could look at my TV screen while I was playing it. I had to spend so much time looking at the controller, it still looks very nice, but it's faded, right? It's lower resolution. And it's like, I want to look at the nice OLED screen where everything really pops and you can really see all the clay texture detail on everything. And instead, I'm getting this slightly softened, slightly fainter version of everything, but it still looks good. I just wished I could look more at the TV screen. And I found myself wanting to look up at what was going on. And whenever I would do that, I would lose my place and something bad would happen to Kirby. So I learned that I couldn't really sort of chew gum and look at the screen at the same time, so to speak. But it is a really, really good looking game. And I thought it was quite fun to play. I overall do feel very positive about the game. But Gigi, how do you feel about it?
Yeah. So, first of all, your comment about looking at the controller, not the screen. I remember also doing that like a lot at the beginning, and then realizing, no, I need to look at the screen, the controller, unfortunately. So, yeah, I feel that. Honestly, Rainbow Curse, again, like I'm just have played pretty much every Kirby game. I remember when I played back, like when it released, it was a really cute game. Like it felt good to control. And it was nice to get another game similar to Canvas Curse because I also like Canvas Curse. And the art style is really nice. And I think that's my favorite part of the game. And I also have some bias because Bandana Waddle G is playable as well. So I also play a bit as him. So in multiplayer, but yeah. Honestly, it's just a cozy game, I guess. I know many Kirby games are like that, but I feel this one, mostly for the art style, really has that feel due to that, you know?
Yeah, it's a cozy game, but it's also deceptively difficult, I think, at times.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Fair
for
enough.
people who think Kirby games are too easy, this was one that definitely pushes back on you. And we can maybe talk more about difficulty later, because I do think that there were certain ways in which it chose to be difficult that weren't necessarily ways that I would have done, I guess. Um, but yeah, it does have that cozy feel, and I think just holding that screen up, it's almost like you're curling up with a book or something, right? Like I
Mm.
really had not played the Wii U in a long time, and it's funny how I think at the time the Wii U controller felt a little overly plastic, and I always liked the Wii U. I was never as hard on it as I feel like some people were, but I could definitely tell that compared to something like an iPad or other kinds of technology, it did feel a little bit more like a toy. And now going back to it, I don't know that I would want to play this game on something that was heavier, like a Switch. Like I compared
Mhm.
holding it to holding the Switch 2. And this is a game that's really designed for you to be able to hold it in one hand, right? While you use the stylus in the other. And the lightness and sort of plasticiness of it actually made it much easier to play in that sense. So in some ways it's kind of the promise of the Wii U being realized in this reverse, maybe unintentional way, but I'm kind of understanding some of their decisions behind that now more in retrospect, that yeah, if you're going to be holding this thing maybe with one hand, you need it to be lightweight, even if that might feel a little flimsy compared to other kinds of controllers.
I agree completely. I found myself feeling very much the same way, that if I were holding the Switch and sort of, with less, I don't know, grippiness, the Wii U pad has this groove on the back of it towards the top. And what I found myself doing was sitting on the couch, kind of reclining, holding the Wii U from the top with my fingers sort of around the curvature of the back, and like holding it almost like I'm reading a book where I'm holding the top of it, and then being able to draw on the screen down below. And I found it extremely comfortable. It would not have felt the same way with a Switch. The one thing that I'll say about the Wii U gamepad is, because I was getting so comfortable, I wanted to take it and lay down in bed, right? Or take it into the backyard or sit back or do something like that. But because it's the Wii U, there's only so much distance you can get from the console itself before things start getting janky. And I just wanted so badly to be further away from the system. So that is it was interesting to experience the Wii U in that capacity, as sort of this pre-switch thing with some of the freedom but not all of it. So yeah, playing it on the Wii U was nice, but it did make me long for a little more freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how, as much as it really shows the system's weaknesses more in stark relief when you get so used to the Switch, I kind of, like I was saying, I don't know that I would want this on the Switch in quite the same way, because it would be really hard to hold it just with one hand for that long, right? Or at least it would get uncomfortable sooner.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. You've also got the stylus to take into account.
Yeah.
I had completely forgotten that the Wii U had a stylus. Like I don't know why. I just completely forgot that it had a stylus. So I bought the game. I didn't have the game before, and I bought it on eBay. And on the cover of it, there's a little stylus like poking Kirby or tapping or something like that. And I was like, oh no, am I gonna have to go buy a stylus for the Wii U? So pleasant surprise when I found one lodged in the back of the machine. And it was cool. It was, you know what? It was another thing. I haven't used a stylus on a touchscreen probably in, a decade, really in any meaningful way. And it felt nice. It felt responsive. It felt good. I think that maybe was the biggest surprise about the Wii U that I experienced was how responsive that screen actually felt. Tapping little things. Sometimes even the DS kind of feels a little bit gummy. This feels crisp and responsive in a way that I just didn't remember. I was pretty impressed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I haven't used a stylus since whenever I would have last played the DS, right? I can think that's sort of the realm of my stylus experience is the Wii U or the DS. Have you been stylusing at all recently, Gigi?
Not really. Just I was trying to remember like the last time, probably when I was playing like 3DS, but I can't recall like what because again, like ever since the Switch has released, I've pretty much just played Switch and now Switch U, and there's no style. So, but I think that maybe if Rainbow Curse was like on Switch U, they would try to like use the mouse controls. But at the same time, I was just thinking like, not sure if that would like be the best way to play because I have tried the mouse controls on Switch U and they don't feel as like precise as the stylus, like how can you draw like the lines for Kirby with a mouse? I don't know if that would be any good.
Can the Switch 2 do like a Wii style remote thing where you point it at the screen and do that stuff? Does that work on the Switch? Because I could see a Wii style like Wiimote component work pretty well with this, where you draw that way.
I'm not sure. I know that they have like the mouse control, so you have like
Hmm.
you use it like a mouse, so you need like a flat place you can just like uh move around your Joy-Con like a mouse.
Hmm.
And I don't know if they have a pointer. I don't remember, but I don't think so. So yeah, like if they did that, they would need to use the mouse controls.
Okay. Okay.
I'm pretty sure that the Switch 2 does have motion controls. I think it has all the same motion controls that the Switch did.
Yeah, but like a pointer thing, like the Wii, that I'm not sure.
I thought it could. I'm looking this up now because it's like it feels like
I'm looking it up too.
No.
Yeah, I think we may be right because I remember something like for Mario Galaxy and
Oh. Well, this is the Google AI overview, so let's take it with a gigantic grain of salt. But it says that the Nintendo Switch 2 allows you to point at the screen using the detachable Joy-Con controllers in a mouse-like pointer mode. If that is in fact true, I'd be kind of interested to see what that would feel like.
Yeah, I did look up if the Wiimote supported Kirby and the Rainbow Curse because I thought like, oh, I want to look at the screen.
Oh,
Can I just do it that way?
Oh.
And I looked it up and it said that I couldn't do that.
The Wii U is such a weird system. They're like I like thinking back on it, it's like sure, okay, so it's the Wii U, but you can't use the remotes on some of these Wii U games. It like really does throw into stark relief just how strange a system this thing actually was. I really like using it, but it's very strange.
I've kind of gotten back into it though. I don't know. It makes me
Yeah.
want to play more other Wii U things.
Have you ever played Zombie U?
I played the demo for it.
Okay. It's way too scary for me. But if you are interested in a game that does a lot with the Wii U controller specifically and the sort of the two screen approach to things, because Kirby in the Rainbow Curse is very much like a single screen game that happens to be displayed on both your Wii U and on the TV.
Yeah.
Zombie U is like, this is a two screen experience. And it's a pretty remarkable one, honestly. It's quite good, but again, it's too stressful. It's like it's far too stressful for me to play.
I do remember the demo being quite suspenseful.
Yeah, great manual. I read the manual on stream once, and that manual goes so hard. There's so much more characterization and color in that manual than you would ever expect from a Wii U era manual.
I have been thinking, so I do Video Games Monthly, if you're familiar with that.
Oh, yes.
Where
Yeah,
they send you like some
absolutely.
random games. And I've been thinking of like adding Wii U now as one of my like game categories. I don't know if there's just so many lower quality games on it that I don't want to risk just having random Wii U games sent to me. But I am kind of curious to like dig into more of the ephemera from that library just to see what's out there.
Man, if you're in, I've never used Video Games Monthly, but I've always been sort of like on the verge of doing it. I just canceled my Game Pass, so maybe now I can put that money towards Video Games Monthly. I I haven't used it. I think that if you're looking for Wii U games, I mean, sure, some of it's not going to be great, but it's a limited enough like I don't know, the games themselves are a limited enough number that I don't think you're going to get a ton of, I guess we'd call it what, shovelware, right? This isn't the Wii where it's you're just going to get 1,000 party games. I think you're going to find some pretty interesting stuff if you do that. I support it.
Hey everyone, my name's Darren Hupke. I'm a writer, publisher, and podcaster. My podcast is called Pixels and Polygons. Each week I sit down with a guest and ask one simple video game question. It's a random topic each week and it leads to a fun conversation. You can find it on your favorite podcast platform every Friday, and you can read more about it at pixelsandpolygons.net.
All right. Did anyone have any other thoughts about just what it was like to play the Wii U again in 2025?
Not really for the Wii U specifically, you know, again, other than sort of the points that we've touched on there. It did make me sad that I was too lazy to go and break my Wii U out of jail before they shut down all the servers for like the store and stuff. Cause I looked on there and I was like, oh, right. Back on the Wii U, you could buy, you know, like the not, what do they call them now? Like the classics, you just pay for the subscription and you get all the Nintendo games and all the Super Nintendo games. But back then they had like the Wii U shop, right? And you could go and actually buy individual games. And I had a decent little collection. I was like, man, I should have gone back and just bought a bunch of Super Nintendo games on this thing. That's my great regret. That was my takeaway from playing the Wii U. My great regret that I didn't buy more Super Nintendo games on it.
Yeah, I do miss the eShop.
So good. The eShop, that's what it was. That's right. The eShop was so good.
Yeah, the virtual console games. Yeah, I remember the Wii U had like a lot of them. So like even if the Wii U didn't have like a lot of new games like some people are, they still had like a lot of retro games that you could buy. Yeah, that I agree.
Yes, I have bought Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, or whichever the Super Nintendo one was, maybe on every single system it's available on, because that's just my sickness. I just want Goemon on everything I'm doing.
That game will just always find you.
It will always find me. There's no escape, and I don't want to escape. I don't want to be free of this curse. I like this. This is what I want.
So let's talk about the gameplay here for how Kirby and the Rainbow Curse works. So if anyone's not familiar with it, this is not a conventional Kirby platformer. It's in 2D, but to move Kirby around, you are drawing on the screen and drawing these rainbow ropes for Kirby to move around on. And Kirby's a ball, and he'll roll along the rope, and you can tap him to make him dash forward. He's also collecting stars along the way, and if he collects 100 stars, he can do a powered up dash that will also make him get larger on the screen. And the larger dash can break certain blocks that his regular dash wouldn't. It can hurt enemies more. There are some enemies that can only be hurt by it. It's just an overall powerful attack that he only gets once in a while. And he also gets some transformations along the way into a tank, a submarine, and a rocket, or at least those are the ones that I've encountered so far. Anyone else have any other descriptions they would give for how this game works?
It's very similar to Canvas Curse, I think, in a lot of ways. Kirby is slower, I feel like, in this game. It's a slower game in a lot of ways, and I think that's both good and bad. And we can talk a little bit about that. I think that also plays into the difficulty level that you were mentioning earlier. It's a little bit quirkier in the way that you control Kirby than Canvas Curse was. In that, I think you can't. So, okay, I'm just gonna dive into this. This has been the one thing that I've been wanting to say the whole time about this game.
Okay,
I
yeah, go
think
for it.
okay, so cards on the table. I really like it. I love the music. I love the graphics. I mean, there's so much about it that I absolutely love. It drives me nuts. It drives me completely insane that you can't tap on an enemy to like stun them and then just roll into them like you could, unless
Yeah.
maybe if and like tell me if I have just missed this in the game, but in Canvas Curse you can tap the enemy and Kirby can just roll into them kind of like haphazardly and they'll die. In this game you have to tap Kirby to do your little boost, and Kirby's so small on the Wii U pad, and characters are all over the place. It makes some sections like hard in a way that doesn't feel good, and then Kirby gets bounced back and then you have to turn him around. That's my big piece that I wanted to say about this. My big complaint. If anybody who made Rainbow Curse is listening, please patch it with this one change. That's my one request, Nintendo.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right about the enemy thing. Like, it's funny because I think I never noticed until like you mentioned right now. Because even though it's like a sequel sort of thing to Canvas Curse, I guess I just treat it as a separate game. So I just wasn't expecting it to be like a thing. But now that you mention, I'm like, yeah, you're right. That's interesting. I wonder why they didn't have that back.
Yeah, it's like an interest. I was trying to figure out when I was playing it here the last week. I was trying to figure out why, from a design standpoint, and I'm not a designer, but like why, from as somebody who plays a lot of video games, why they might have removed that. And I don't know. I mean, again, Kirby's slower feeling in this game, and so maybe it's a pace thing. You know, you tap everybody, maybe it makes things way too easy. But it's one of the few things in this game that I think kind of misses the mark a little bit, and it really stands out as a result, because I actually think otherwise this game is incredibly finely tuned and a real joy to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely missed being able to interact with the screen to that
Mm-hmm.
degree, because it was fun to feel like you were reaching into Kirby's world and manipulating things in it. Like you weren't just
Mm-hmm.
controlling Kirby, you were really kind of being this puppet master who could stun the enemies and do other things on the screen. And you get a little bit of that, right, where you might move like a marble or something to solve a puzzle, but you're mostly just focused on Kirby and everything else is interacting with him. So I really missed that extra layer of interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And it did feel slower to me. And I think in general, like the physics around how Kirby moves felt a little quirky.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be the physics of him being clay,
Yeah.
or if that was just kind of a decision that the game made for it to just be slower paced, because it did make it a little bit less responsive, I felt like at times. I always felt like I had like 96% control over Kirby, right? But like never 100%. And like I never was like totally sure he was going to go where I thought he was going to go. Which doesn't mean that it controls poorly, just that it felt a little less tight than I would have liked.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I guess the word for me would be a little ungainly. Kirby's a little bit ungainly here. Yeah, he's like a ball of clay. He's probably dense in this game, right? This is a dense. He's our little pink dense boy in this game. But so maybe he does just sort of barrel over things. I think a little bit ungainly, and I think that extends for me also a little bit into, you do a lot more traversing using the ropes in this game than I recall doing in Canvas Curse. You can do a lot in Canvas Curse, but the areas I don't remember being quite as demanding from a rope traversal standpoint, you know, being able to get from one place to another. There's sort of a lot of chaining them together in this game. And maybe I just wasn't high level enough in Canvas Curse to really feel this. But one thing that I discovered in this game that I, again, don't remember in Canvas Curse as much is I really wish that there were a way to cancel ropes. There's a bunch of times where I'll kind of bunch them up together because I'm trying to move things together, and Kirby just gets stuck in between. The game usually does a pretty good job of getting Kirby to the place you were trying to get him to go. But there are times where, especially if there's an enemy or like a boss battle, there's a boss battle in the sand, like the sand kind of desert zone. It's a guy who spins around and he's got armor around him, and you have to smash into his armor, and you also have to avoid his lasers and do these things. I kept finding that I was just drawing ropes and bumping into them and then going the wrong way. I would have loved for there to be a way to quick erase a rope that I'd drawn on the screen.
You can strike through it and it'll disappear.
Okay. I think I was doing that quite a lot by accident, probably.
Yeah, like if you draw like a perpendicular line to the line you have,
like exit out.
But then you just end up having another line kind of blocking him, just going the other way.
Yeah,
like it was sort of helpful, but I wish there was some way to just like cancel it out altogether.
Yeah, press the L trigger or something like that and just kill this rope. But these, I also don't want to sound too harsh. These are all, I think, what I consider these very legit criticisms, but it has not gotten in the way of me just really sinking into this game. This is a game you mentioned, Gigi, I think earlier, that this is a cozy game. This very much is a game. It was raining yesterday and I was sitting inside on the couch and it was raining and I just sunk into this thing, and I could have probably spent a couple of hours just like zoning out. It's a slower game, and so it's a little bit more hypnotic, maybe, in a way. It's less lively than Canvas Curse, and so, but not in a bad way. Like, it's just more relaxed feeling.
Yeah, like Canvas Curse feels more like, I don't have the word, but honestly, the way you describe it was pretty much that. Canvas Curse is it's faster. It feels like there's a lot more going on. You have to keep track of the enemies and just make sure you're going around. Canvas Curse also has copy abilities, and this game doesn't, which also for me makes a difference as well. So it feels like there's more action, and this one's more like you. I don't remember which of you mentioned going from one place to another. I do feel that Canvas Curse feels more like a regular Kirby game where you're going around, you have to defeat enemies with capabilities, and maybe you have to go around places, but that's not the main thing. And Rainbow Curse feels more you're just strolling around. You have to get one point to another. Maybe you're going to the sky or something, and there's not a lot of action, I guess. Not that there's no action, but that's not the focus. So that's probably why it feels a bit cozy, especially compared to Canvas Curse.
Yep, I think that's fair. I would say too that one other difference is because, and again, maybe I just have missed it, but as far as I can tell, there's no map on a given level in this game.
Oh yeah,
and
no.
Yeah, and there is, of course, obviously on the DS, on Canvas Curse, because you can look up at the top screen, or is it the top screen? And I've actually discovered, at first it threw me off. Threw me off a little. I was like, where am I supposed to go? I'm not really sure how big this level is. And it wound up making me, I think, explore more than Canvas Curse did, in a weird way. Having it be a little bit more aimless and a little bit unclear where maybe secrets might lie, I found myself just sort of drawing ropes up to the sky and into walls to see if I'd bump in through anything. And that also just led to a lot of kind of organic exploration, which is weird because in Canvas Curse, I didn't always do a ton of exploration. I felt maybe more driven to just action. And here, without the map, it was just sort of a blank slate for me to explore, which I liked, actually. This is a notch in favor of this game for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel slower. I would say I miss some of the frenetic energy that Canvas Curse has. It almost feels less like it's not a sequel, right? It's very much not a sequel. It's like if you took the same concept and then made a very different game just based on that same idea of controlling Kirby with lines on a screen.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned earlier, it's also way harder. way, and at times because it's because they decided to, and at times because it's a little ungainly. But it's much harder. My daughters, who are 9 and 7, almost 7, really love Canvas Curse because, especially early going, it's pretty, it's pretty forgiving, right? It's not particularly challenging, but it feels good. And they're very curious about this one because it's gorgeous. The art style is amazing. But I do think that after maybe a couple of levels, it's going to get demanding in a way that I'm not sure they'll enjoy. And I mean, I guess there's only one way to find out, but I was surprised by that when I started playing. I was surprised by how demanding the game actually becomes pretty early on.
Yeah.
And how long the levels are too. The levels are quite lengthy.
Yeah. One thing I noticed too with the difficulty is that even if I didn't mind that the levels themselves were harder, I minded how often they relied on things that you get one shot at, and then if you miss it, you missed out. You have to go back and play the level again to do that thing again if you want another shot at it.
Yeah.
Where they give you these like 15-second mini games where you don't even get a moment to breathe. Like the clock just starts as soon as you enter the room.
It's true.
And they tend to be things that, like, if you don't get them the first time, you could probably get them like the second or third, because there's a bit of a like learning curve. Like, oh, what did they even want me to do? Oh, they wanted me to do this. And then by that point, it's like, sorry, you missed it. And then the door disappears, and you'd have to play through a kind of longer level again to get to that mini game again. And then if you miss it again, sorry, you had your one chance. And then you have to go back and play it again. And I don't love things like that don't give you multiple shots at something. And Kirby games do that sometimes, but it's usually a puzzle where if you do it wrong, you'll know immediately, like, oh, I was supposed to break that block instead of that other block, and now my item fell in a pit or something. But then you just know, okay, I'll just play it again, and I'll break this other block instead, and I'll get it the second time. But I don't know, just teasing you with a little mini game and not giving you another shot at it felt a little unforgiving. And then to do that same thing with the diary entries, and I loved the diary. I thought the diary was just adorable. But they give you this little mini game at the end of the level, and if you miss it, well, if you want to get those diary entries, you have to go back and play through the level again, and there's a different one for every stage. So it's not like you could just get the diary entry in another level. So the number of times they gave you things that you might have to replay a level to get just felt a little excessive.
Absolutely. I agree completely. It's funny. So if somebody listening hasn't played this, at the end of the level, there's like there's like a carousel or a Ferris wheel sort of items that you can get by bumping into them before you leave the level. And it's like extra lives, stars, I think, like lots of different little things. And then, one is the book. I've been getting the book every time, but sometimes that means that I'm circling, drawing around it over and over and over again, and then just trying to drop onto it. I'm hell bent on getting those things because they're awesome. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of times where the game just goes, no, you missed it. There's a bunch of those in the sand world, where the desert world, where you have to carve out areas, and then guys will drop, and you have to get the thing before the guy drops. So if you're a completionist, which I am not, so I'm fortunate on that front. If you're a completionist, there's going to be times where, you have to replay a 10 to 12 minute long level that is sort of exacting, and it doesn't feel good. While I was playing this, the game that kept coming to mind for me, which I was surprised by, is Donkey Kong Bonanza. And I don't know if you all have played Donkey Kong Bonanza, but I kept thinking about...
not yet.
You have not? Okay.
Yeah, I have.
You have? Okay. So this may sound kind of nuts. For me, this game felt like the Bizarro World version of, like, the Bizarro Nintendo version of Donkey Kong Bonanza, because Donkey Kong Bonanza is so forgiving. And and I don't mean this as a criticism per se, but it is so lacking in challenge. Even in the challenge rooms, you go into the challenge rooms and they're structured very similarly, right? Like here you have 30 seconds to do something, but in Donkey Kong Bonanza, it's, with a few exceptions, you're almost never going to not get it, right? Like you're going to just win the thing no matter what, because it's very easy. It's very straightforward. It's very simple. And again, that's not a bad thing. The game feels fantastic to play, but Kirby sort of feels like the opposite, where it's like, here's our gimmick. In Donkey Kong, it's breaking stuff. In this game, it's drawing the rope. but we are going to lean into challenge in the exact opposite ways. They're both very free form games, and Donkey Kong just lets you do whatever with no penalty. And this game lets you do whatever with a surprising amount of penalty. And so I just kept thinking about Nintendo's approach to games and how different this feels than that. Maybe that's part of why this game felt so fresh to me, is that it doesn't feel like the super tightly designed, super tightly put together Nintendo that I'm used to in 2025. Right? There are quirks and there are flaws and there's texture. Right? It's a little bit lumpy in its own way, which is, I know, probably a Clay thing, but it's a little bit lumpy and awkward. And I think I'm really taken by it, even when I'm mad at it or even when I miss something that I wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you thought this game was the sequel to Canvas Curse, but really it's the prequel to Donkey Kong Bonanza.
That's right. That's right. They made the game and then they shipped it and then they said, okay, now we have to make Donkey Kong Bonanza. That's how game development works, I think. And so they just said, okay, we're ready to make Donkey Kong Bonanza now.
Yeah, that also means they spent 10 years making Donkey Kong Bonanza.
I would buy it. I would buy it. You should play Donkey Kong Bonanza. Like, I don't mean for it to sound like I'm critiquing it too much, because it is it's one of those games where it's like, it's just a game about feel. I don't know, Gigi, if you have any thoughts about it, but it's a game where it's just like, oh, this just feels really good to smash. It's like it's like a pop it toy, or like one of those. My kids really like slime. Right? They get the slime, and sometimes the slime has like little crunchy things in it, and it just feels like that.
It's like a fidget.
Yeah, it's like a fidget. It's like a $70 fidget exclusively for the Switch too.
But yeah, I agree. Like, I played the game because my brother got it, and I just wasn't expecting much because it's not exactly my thing. But then I was just playing it all the time, learning to like finish the game. And even though I had a couple, like, personally, like, not a challenge for me, were like super easy. I had a couple that I just quit because I kept retrying and couldn't. And that's probably because I'm more like not so good action games like that, but I still managed to like beat the game and get a lot of stuff. But yeah, I agree, it's really satisfying to just like go smashing around. You're constantly finding like new things, like collectibles everywhere. It's really nice. Yeah, I agree with the comparison with the slime. It's actually really accurate.
Yeah, I teach 7th graders right now as a student teacher.
Oh,
but before that, I did a bunch of different grades as like a sub while I was figuring out if I wanted to go into education out of journalism. But I have sometimes joked, because like a lot of classrooms will have their like basket of fidgets now. That's just like a staple of a classroom. And I have sometimes joked like we should just have a Switch in there as one of our fidgets, because I feel like that would occupy someone, right? If they need to do something with their hands. And some games are just that way too, right? Yeah. Like it's about how they feel. It's about just the dopamine hit of the tactile interaction with the screen, but in a really fulfilling, well-designed way.
Yeah.
And this game does have that.
It does.
I would say. Rainbow Curse is very like satisfying in a fun, tactile way still. And that's part of what makes it so fun. Is that even if you're not interacting with Kirby's world quite as directly as you can in Canvas Curse, you're still putting things on the screen and he's still responding to you, and it's just still such a novel way to control a character in a video game.
It really is, and it's very responsive too, right? The Wii U does a great job. That screen does a great job of registering everything really nicely, and I think a big part of it too, if I can, I guess, like, I don't know if this is an aside, but a big part of, I think, why this game does feel as good as it feels to play is the sound. Like, from the sound effects themselves, the little noises that get made when you're etching out little areas that you can sort of like erase in the level, or when Kirby bumps into a cloud, or when he fires off a barrage of rockets as a tank. Everything has all the audio, all the sound effects are just extremely well considered, and they're all very sharp, and it just comes through really, really well. That has been a big part of why I think this game feels as good as it does to me. It's just a joy to do something and get the feedback that the game provides. I've also been enjoying turning the sound on both my TV and on my Wii U gamepad and getting this sort of very intense surround sound situation. That's been fun.
Yeah, this is a game I feel ultimately is maybe from a gameplay standpoint, it's maybe about like a 7.5 for me. But from like a presentation standpoint, it's like a 9 out of 10. Like,
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
and I think that does elevate it. Not that the gameplay is bad, like it's very fun. I felt like I was in this weird relationship with this game, kind of where it's like while I was playing it, sometimes after playing it for a while, I would feel like, okay, that's enough for now. But then when I wasn't playing it, I was thinking about it and looking forward to going back and playing it again.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I feel like I've had like those feelings are both feelings that I have felt with games before, but I don't know that there are that many games where I feel both of those things, where I only want it for maybe a certain amount of time, but I also think about it when I'm not playing it. Usually it's like you're thinking about it when you're not playing it because something you sort of needed to step away for some reason, or like, you know, life requires you to do things other than play video games, right? So while you're taking care of the other obligations in your life, you're thinking about, oh, when will I get to play video games again and play that game? But this was more of a voluntary stop, but still kind of missing it even after I voluntarily stopped.
So that is, it is, it's so interesting to hear you say that, because yes, that is, I think that is exactly true. And that is a really unique thing, right? When you're playing games, that is not usually, or at least not for me, like that is not how it usually goes. I usually play until I've either like completely had my fill, or I just have to stop. But yeah, this is one, yeah, where it's like last night I was playing for a bit and I had some extra time to keep going if I really wanted to. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I played for a while and I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I could get away from this Wii U screen for a little bit. And then I went to bed and I woke up this morning and I was like, get me back. I got to play more. I got to play more. And just sink in and do like a level or two, not really do a whole like run of it. Just actually just kind of sit back and snack on this game, as Kirby is wont to do. Although not in this game. He doesn't eat anything in this game, as far as I can tell, nor does he eat in a canvas curse. So
I mean, he's
I don't know.
collecting food, so maybe it's implied.
He's hoarding food. Kirby's like a prepper in this game. He's not eating the food. He's just collecting it and holding on to it just in case.
Maybe when we finally get to the end, we'll see all the food he has hoarded along the way.
He has Kirby, like the last level of the game is you're just rolling through your prepper bunker with Kirby, and he's got all the little like tomatoes with the M on it, and then the water bottle and all this stuff down there. This is what Kirby's doing. It's a tragic story, actually.
But yeah, it does put you in that odd situation of feeling both. Almost like it almost feels like work a little bit to play because of the way you have to control him, and it doesn't play itself at all the way some games do. So I would find myself stepping away from it almost the same way I would step away from a fun work project. Like if I were writing something or doing something creative that I felt like, well, that was enjoyable, but now I want to go and do something that feels purely recreational. I don't know that playing this game feels purely recreational in the way that some video games do.
Yeah.
But it's still fun.
It's like grueling in a weird way, right? It's just funny. I'm glad that I came to this game now. So it came out in 2015, right? So this game is 10 years old now, and I think if I had come to it when it first came out, I would have been, Canvas Curse was still a while before that, but I would have been a lot closer to Canvas Curse, and I would have been expecting more Canvas Curse. And I don't know if I would have been so, like, I think I might have been a little colder to this game if I had come to it without the context of another 10 years, without the context of hearing people's response to this game, thinking about it less, to your point, as a sequel of Canvas Curse and more its own thing. I really do wonder if I would have liked it that much, because again, it's grueling. It's a little work-like. It's not as friendly in some ways, but I'm going to say this, and I don't mean this isn't hot take zone. I think it's a more interesting game than Canvas Curse is. I think Canvas Curse wins for being a better game and a more fun game and a more lively game and a game with a little bit more personality and all these other things. But I think this game is a little bit more interesting because it's weirder and because it doesn't always quite work. I don't know. That's a hot take, but I'm putting this up there as a very interesting game. That's my very interesting game of the week.
Interesting that you think that, because I also think like Canvas Curse is a weird sort of game, like in a sense. But
It
maybe
is.
that's because I'm more like, it's like, I feel like, honestly, again, like how I would say this would sound weird, but maybe you understand what I feel like. I feel like Rainbow Curse feels more like a Kirby game than Canvas Curse does, because like Rainbow
Mhm.
Curse has like the cute art style. It's like it's colorful, and Canvas Curse has like a sort of a darker tone. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's the thing. It's not that it doesn't feel like a Kirby game, but like I feel in that sense, Canvas Curse is like the weird one. But I also agree like that Rainbow Curse has its own weirdness to it. It also makes it like special, and I also think the same thing for Canvas Curse. So that's interesting that you think that.
That is a really interesting thing. I wonder why that is, like where the difference comes into play there. I think when I think about Canvas Curse, maybe it's just because it's Canvas Curse. Like I just sort of take it as gospel that that's what it is, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
still looking at this through that lens, like, and maybe not as much of a Kirby lens. I don't know. It's like,
Yeah.
right, like maybe that's part of where it comes from. I guess here's a can I ask a broad question of both of you?
Yeah.
A very broad one. Are these Kirby games? How do we delineate Kirby games? Are these Kirby games, or are they just games that have Kirby in them, or is that the same thing?
I, yeah, like they're Kirby games. Yeah, they're
Sure.
spin-offs.
Yeah.
If that makes the difference.
Yeah, Kirby's
Okay.
the main character.
Yeah, Kirby's the guy.
I think like Smash Brothers would not be a Kirby game because he's not the main character.
Mm-hmm.
That's
But
Yeah,
fair.
Smash Bros. A game with Kirby in it.
With Kirby.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. No, that makes sense. I was just like, I didn't mean to be controversial question. I was just trying to think,
No, it's
okay,
fine.
like what defines a Kirby game? I do agree. I mean, I think like that's what makes, as you know, so my daughter is really into Kirby right now. My older daughter in particular is really into Kirby right now.
Mm-hmm.
The character, all that sort of stuff. And I think I'm stoked about it. I'm super happy about it because I just think that the character and the world and the other characters and all the vibes and everything are just so nice. And I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent here, but it's just so great. And I love that we can sit here and think about Canvas Curse and Rainbow Curse, and they're two like surface level same similar things, but they're both very much their own thing. And then there's the platforming games, and then there's like golf, and I don't know. I just love it. I think as a character, the ways that Kirby allows you to engage with video games as an art form is something that I cherish. I love it so much. And that really came through to me playing this game now is just I don't know, not really knowing what to expect next, being able to sink into it, letting the game kind of lets you like run with your thoughts as you're playing, and it just
Mm-hmm.
feels so good. This is a very abstract tangent to go on here on the show. I'm really sorry, but yeah, this game has me feeling a lot of things that I wasn't quite expecting as a result.
it does. Yeah, it's funny that I think this is the most we've talked about a game as an idea on
Hmm.
this podcast without talking about what the levels are about or without really talking about what you're doing in the game. But it does do something, right? It evokes something weird and experimental,
Mm-hmm.
and the clayness of everything, and the whimsical diary you're getting, and the way you're controlling it differently. Like it's just such a different, weird, creative experience. And it really feels like HAL Laboratory, while they were working on their mainline Kirby games, then took their team and was like, and you all over here, just go off and do something weird with Kirby. Like,
Yeah,
we've got the Wii U. We think we can do some touchscreen stuff with this. Come up with something that uses this wacky new system that we have. And the director of this game, let me go back to his name here. So the director was Kazushige Masuda. And looking at his other credits, So let me bring up his full credits here. I'm on Moby Games looking at his credits here. But he worked on a lot of JRPGs.
Huh.
So he worked on a JRPG series called Atelier Iris, which I am not familiar with that.
I'm not either. I don't know that one at all.
Jet Ion GP, which sounds like it might be like a racing game.
Okay.
I think it's like a futuristic racing game of some kind.
Wow.
The Adventures of Robin Lloyd, which
This is weird.
I'm not familiar with Robin Lloyd either. But like a very eclectic background. It does seem like there's a link to his Facebook page. Let's just see what that does.
Ooh. Let's become friends with him. Let's send him a friend request.
Yeah, and ask him about Rainbow Curse. I don't know. He doesn't have a lot of recent game credits, so maybe he'd be available to join us and talk about Rainbow Curse. But I don't know. It looks like it's a Facebook profile for a person that I guess could be him. Perhaps it's just some pictures of him with his daughter, maybe.
This is great. It's you're right, very eclectic. It's like a bunch of Kirby games all in the span of I don't know, like 10 years here, and then a bunch of the Atelier games, and that's kind of it. Jet Ion GP. Yeah. I got to check this game out. This looks great.
He did do project management for Kirby and the Forgotten Land Nintendo Switch 2 edition.
Okay.
Plus Star-Crossed World. So he's kind of, which seems like more of involvement than he's had for a while, because he just got special thanks on Return to Dreamland Deluxe. But he was a sequence director for Kirby Battle Royale as well. But what he was doing, between those, who knows?
That's true.
Who knows? Interesting. Oh my God. Well, when we have him on the show, we can ask him, what were you doing between this time and this time?
Yeah, Gigi, you can be our translator.
Message him right now. Is he free right now? Let's get him on.
And then review-wise, this game was very polarizing, which actually I kind of predicted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which it has a 73 on Metacritic right now, which is lower than a lot of Kirby games get. Which I would personally rate it higher than that. But I think just with how polarizing it was, we see Nintendojo giving it 100, and then we see all the way down to Gamer.no giving it the equivalent of a 30. Right? People were all over the board with how they felt about how this game played and felt.
This is rough. I'm looking at the Giant Bomb review from Dan Reichert. Kirby and the Rainbow Curse review, 2 out of 5 stars. 10 years later, this frustrating follow-up to Canvas Curse feels shallow and soulless by comparison. Which is harsh.
Yeah. I would not describe this game as soulless at all.
No. Although, you know what is interesting? I was making notes before the show, and I was writing in there, and I did note as I was playing, I said that it's more gorgeous. It's like prettier and more interesting to look at, but that it has less personality than Canvas Curse. The game itself, moment to moment, felt like it had a little less direct personality, is how I did feel when I was playing it. I would certainly not say soulless, to be very clear. But it is less maybe it's just less effervescence. The Canvas Curse has this sort of chaotic energy to it that this one doesn't have, and maybe that's what I'm getting at. But 2 out of 5 stars.
No, that's really hard.
Yeah. Listen, I never want to say that somebody's opinion is incorrect, because this is all very subjective, but this opinion is incorrect. That's my take.
I mean, we talked about having the director on. Maybe we have to have him on now.
Dan Reichert. Get him in over. He's busy with Giant Bomb stuff, I bet, but we could probably pull him if he's going to be able to have a one-to-one, a mano with the director of Kirby Rainbow Curse.
Yeah. We'll just surprise him with it. By the way, we have another guest.
We're tricking both of these guys, these poor people. We're tricking both of these guys into coming onto the show. And then it's actually, you're both here. This is like an intervention. It's like, you guys stop fighting.
Yeah. There is
come
this weird
together
like
now.
Jerry Springer or something aspect to it, right? Where bringing random guests on just to watch them argue.
Yeah. It's just like the paternity tests on like those daytime TV shows, right? It's like, who's the
Yeah, I mean,
father?
like I've never seen Jerry Springer, and I'm pretty sure that has been off the air for a very long time. But that's what comes to mind.
That works for me. That works for me. When if you ever need to pivot the show and it just becomes Jerry Springer, I think we got our first guests.
We'll choose like the most polarizing Kirby game, just
Yes.
watch the fireworks.
What do you think is the most polarizing Kirby game?
Oh goodness.
Is it not
Is it
this
this?
one?
It might be. That's what I was thinking. I was like, this might be the one.
Yeah, if it's polarizing, it may be this one.
I think I could see that. I'm trying to I'm like racking like what else could be a particularly polarizing Kirby game. Yeah.
I know
Maybe it is.
also like Amazing Mirror. I also see like a lot of people that love Amazing Mirror and some people that like it's the worst thing ever. So I think that one as well.
All right. What about Epic Yarn? Do people like Epic Yarn? I remember playing Epic Yarn and not it was not for me so much. Again, I love the way it looked, but I wasn't sure that it like did much for me.
Honestly, what I see Epic Yarn is usually positive. Like people
Okay.
at least like find it fun, cute, and just like again really really cozy. Like if Rainbow Curse is cozy, like
Yeah, it's
Epic Yarn
extra
is just
cozy.
like 10 times.
Yeah.
Well, like usually it's positive. Some people I just see sometimes thinking like, oh, it doesn't feel like a Kirby game because it wasn't. But like that's the only thing sometimes I see, and it's also hard to like 100% because there's some challenge. But honestly, you can also say that about Rainbow Curse and a couple other Kirby games. There's just like a couple of things that are really challenging if you want to 100%.
Okay. That makes
Epic
sense.
Yarn has an 86 on Metacritic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I take it back.
I know what you mean, though. It's
Question
another weird
rescinded.
experimental one.
It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. That's one that would be nice to get on Switch with like a little bit of a graphical update.
Yeah, I agree.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, they
Just
had the
keep re-releasing
3DS one.
Yeah,
Oh,
the 3DS one is really weird because it looks worse than Wii, and they removed multiplayer, and they added like a couple of stuff that just feels like I don't know. I always think like, why wasn't this for Switch? Like it made way more sense for Switch, and they just put in a 3DS for some reason. But I don't know.
Well, something else I think that we need to touch on with this game is the music,
Oh yeah,
which is gorgeous.
Yeah.
it's Shogo Sakai, the guy who made like Mother 3 and Mass Attack music, if you know him, and also did some for R Ride and I think some Smash music as well. And there's Megumi Ohara, which is I would say she's new, but like she has started with Rainbow Curse and it has been 10 years. But she's like I think that was her first work in the Kirby series, and she's still like making music.
Yeah, she was one of the new faces.
Yes.
And like pairing her with like one of the old guard, like that was a neat combination.
Mm-hmm.
And she's also a flautist, so that's
Yeah.
probably her flute that we're hearing in the background so often.
Yeah.
How cool. The music is, and I'm not a musician, and so I'm just sitting there listening to it. I was blown away by the music. I did not expect the music to be what it was. It's super varied. There's so much going on, and at every point I found that I was just like kind of rocking along with it, like grooving to it. It was just, it's so good. It might be, I want to be careful. It's one of my favorite Kirby soundtracks, I think. And I haven't finished the game yet, but there's just at every step of the way, I'm like, yeah, this sounds good. Yep. This sounds great. Yes. I want to listen to more of this. That's a big part of what's actually brought me back each time is I'm just like, I kind of want to just sit here and like listen to this music.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool.
I would agree that I think it's one of my favorite Kirby soundtracks too. And it looks like Ohara was only 24 when this game came out.
Yeah.
Which is like pretty impressive that like, I guess when it would have been in development, like she was like 22, 23.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, like I do have an unpopular opinion about the music. Is that it's
Oh,
not one of my favorites. It's not that I don't like it. It's again like I just play every single Kirby game, and I prefer like the styles of other composers. I guess the main ones like Jun Ishikawa and Hirokazu Ando. So it's great. I'm not saying like it's bad, and I also agree. Like I think in general for Kirby, one of the things sometimes I just go back to play is the music. I agree with that sentiment. Like you just want to listen more to that music. You like what's next, what's next, and but yeah, I just prefer others. I'm not saying like I don't like it. It's just personally not one of my favorites. But like I
Yeah.
understand people why people like it. I think it's neat.
Yeah, when I say it's one of my favorites, I think I just mean that it's like in like the upper half or upper third for
Yeah,
me.
fair
Like I don't
enough.
know that I would rank it at like the very top, but I think the way it blends with the action and the overall feel of the game,
Hmm.
it just feels very indispensable. Like just a big part of the experience is the clay and the music that's bringing it all to life.
yeah, it pulls everything together. I think for me, it pulls my experience together
Hmm.
pretty well. There's like a fullness to the music. Again, I'm not a musician, so I don't know if that makes any sense as a description, but the music has like there's like space within the music that I just found very like kind of all encompassing, right? It just was sort of like the music is all around. I think maybe the way that the audio levels work too. It's like the music plays a really big role in the soundscape in the game, and yeah, I don't know, just it just hit really hard. Again, last night it was raining. I'm sitting inside. I'm cozy. I've got this good music, so maybe some of that is just time and place for me with this particular game, but I just wasn't expecting it. I think that maybe that's the big thing for me with this game is I remember when it came out and I remember I didn't get it or I mean, I didn't buy it and people had mixed things to say about it and I never really thought about it. And so then coming back to it now, I'm I don't know why I'm surprised, but I am surprised by the craft. The craft, kind of across the board, is so much more impressive than I was expecting it to be. And with really the exception of the fact that it's basically a single screen experience and you don't get the full experience by looking at the TV screen, I'm just kind of blown away by it. I really like it. I think
Mhm.
your point earlier, like the way it looks, all the production 9.5 or something like that, gameplay 7.5, but it comes together to be greater than the sum of its parts for me.
Mhm. Yeah, I am fascinated by this game, more so than I even expected to be.
Me
It's
too.
just a unique experience across the hardware, across the presentation, across a lot of its design decisions. We didn't talk about the journal, but I love the journal.
Oh
And
yes.
I really like in video games when they reward you with jokes or with humor, where you're getting things that don't necessarily have a lot of value outside of like, oh, that was fun, or oh, that made me laugh. And that's how this game rewards you. It gives you these challenge rooms. And I could kind of go either way about the challenge rooms. I think that's another thing that was kind of based on like doing something over and over again, because it's based on like how many can you get in a row, right? Where even if you complete them all, if you fail at one, they want you to go back and do like all four of them in a row. But they were nice to have. But them and the figurines, those are things that I feel like I've seen in other games. But getting the diary pages where you got these really fun, charming illustrations of Kirby's world that flesh out the reality that he's in this game in interesting ways, and it's done in this childlike way, but the sensibilities feel very universal. Like it didn't
Hmm.
feel like little kiddish. It was like the art style was like clearly sort of hand drawn in this younger looking way, but then you'd get these jokes that were genuinely funny, or this little commentary about a boss, or be like, this is the tunnel system we built, and the different rooms of like this like underground layer that Kirby had, that for some reason also has like a toilet in it and like a shower and things where you're like, does Kirby need those
Mhm.
things? They were never in his house before. But just these odd little jokes that you got. And so I was always looking forward to seeing what the new page would look like whenever I unlocked one of those.
Mhm.
It's true. It's such a cool little touch, and right, the art is just gorgeous, and yeah, you're right, like it's all very colorful and all very friendly, and all very kind of it could easily be, yeah, for lack of a better word, what, kiddish. It could easily become that, but it's thoughtful in a way that again, sort of feels a little bit surprising in the moment. It's not surprising when you think about, like, like the people behind this, and the skill and the creativity and everything, but it does stand out because uh, okay, so I'll say this. I don't mean to besmirch my friend Yoshi, but when I play a Yoshi game with my younger daughter, for instance, those games do, there's sort of a similar kind of look with the like the felt stuff and some of the more recent Yoshi things. Those do feel very kid oriented, which again is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just what they're going for. This game seems to avoid all of that. It's just sort of a universally I don't know, good to look at, satisfying, pleasant look across the board, and everything about it, all the tone and everything, all feels just it's just nice and good, but it's not kiddish in any way. It's not like necessarily for younger people. It just looks great. I want these books. I want the journal books to be printed out. Okay, Nintendo, if you're listening, give us one of these books as a physical thing in a physical edition version for the Switch, please.
Yeah, I thought about that too, that it would be fun to have a real version of it.
That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
if they made like the storybook from Galaxy into a real thing now, they could just release Rainbow Curse for Switch and have that, please. Like, that's perfect. Just do that, please.
Mhm.
That would be so nice. I just got the Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 collections for Switch,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so bare bones. I feel bad about it, because those are probably my favorite games of all time, and I just want Nintendo to love them as much as I love them, and they don't seem to. So if they miss their opportunity with the Galaxy stuff, maybe we can convince them to do that with Kirby here, because yeah, these are gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This game is hard and it's a little weird, but it does so much to disarm you along the way. Even if you're frustrated in a moment, it just pulls you right back, and you almost don't even mind that it's frustrating at times because there's so much charm to buffer against that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. What an interesting game. What an
Yeah.
interesting game.
Mhm. Well, maybe at some point when we finally finish it, we should talk about it again and reflect more on it as a overall experience. Because unlike some episodes where we really do like a deep dive into what happens and go into like the history of the game and stuff like that, I feel like this was more about initial impressions. And sometimes somehow we have still spent like 70 minutes just on initial impressions. But this is just a game that conjures a lot of initial impressions.
I'm curious what you two will think when you finish the game.
I'm probably going to finish it soon, because I am feeling the drive to return to it. I like I'm getting that moment of being like, okay, I stepped away from it. I played a little bit right before the show too, and I was ready to stop, and now I'm ready to. Kids will go to bed. This is what I'm 42. This is what I do as a 42-year-old. Is all right. Put the kids to bed, and I'm going to play Kirby and the Rainbow Curse on my Wii U.
I love that.
Yeah,
Real
this game is
grown-up
very much
hours.
competing with grad school right now for me, but
Yes.
it's a nice, palate cleanser after a lot of like pedagogy and that sort of thing.
That's right. That's right. Thank you to Kirby Rainbow Curse for doing this for us.
Mm-hmm. So before we go, does anyone have anything else they would like to promote or final words on anything?
Gigi, do you want to go?
No, I was going to say, like, I'm good if you want to say something. Go ahead.
I do a weekly stream on Wednesdays at noon Pacific, where called what is it even called? Instruction Derby. There we go. So it's the end of the week right now. We're recording. I'm ready to go back in and get revived by Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. I do video game manual streaming Wednesdays at noon, is what I was saying, and we just pick up a video game manual or two. I read them and look at the weird characterizations and the weird color that people gave to video game manuals back when they made video game manuals. And I think it's a lot of fun. So yeah, that's Wednesdays at noon, and I'd love to have folks join for Instruction Derby.
Yeah.
One of these days when I'm teed up to actually talk about the show, I'll have an idea what I'm going to say. I'm so bad at explaining this show, but it's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people should definitely check that out. And you are also a Soundstone regular in a lot of ways.
That's
so you can listen to Pixels and Polygons, Flashback 64, this podcast. People can hear you on a lot of other podcasts.
Yeah,
too,
there's no escape. There's truly no escape. And and I also am doing a show with Darren Hupke of Pixels and Polygons called the Association Simulation, where we play or we run a simulation of a given season in a basketball video game, the NBA, the National Basketball Association of the title, and we see how close to real life in that season the game's simulation is. So we have one episode out so far where we did NBA 2K on the Sega Dreamcast and compared it to the, I believe, 1999 NBA season. So if you are a video game and basketball sicko like Darren and I, please feel free to check it out. NBA 2K on the Sega Dreamcast, I believe it was actually pretty accurate. It was pretty solid.
All right. Nice. I do feel like I should play more basketball games.
They're good.
I think 2K is very popular with students, and I feel like I would relate to them by being able to talk about their basketball game.
That's right. You'd be able to talk about their basketball game. I will say, well, I have opinions about the latter day 2K games and some of their monetization strategies, but the gameplay itself is extremely good and very, very fun. If you don't want to play something that's that in depth, there's always NBA Jam, which turns out holds up all these years later.
Yeah, I actually got NBA Jam in a Video Games Monthly box last month.
Okay, now we're talking. Yeah. Video Games Monthly. Let's do it.
Comes full circle. All right. Well, thank you both for being here. And thank you all listeners. Thank you for listening. This has been Kirby Conversations. Again, I'm Sean Douglas. I'm here with Gigi, and other producers on this show are Bridget and Kai, Captain Dangerous Parker. And we've been very fortunate to have Nick McConnell as our guest on this episode as well.
Thank you.
This show is part of the Soundstone Podcast Network. The theme music is by Megan Kells in a new arrangement by Duncan Pixel T. Smith. And if you want to reach out to us, you can email us at the email in our show notes, or find us at any of the social media handles in our show notes as well. We are most active on Blue Sky. That's the best place to find us. But you can also see us posting things on Instagram and YouTube from time to time. Thank you again for listening, and we will be back again soon with more Kirby Conversations. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Listen to Flashback 64, the chronological Nintendo 64 podcast. Hosts Gooey, McKenna, and friends flashback to the 90s and early 2000s with a look at the Nintendo 64's catalog and its contemporary cultural and historical context. Starting with the console's launch titles and proceeding in release order, we discuss classics like GoldenEye, Super Mario 64, and Star Fox 64, as well as some not-so-beloved games, lesser-known titles, and everything in between. Along with game-specific deep dives, we also cover other bits of pop culture from the time, like films, music, and more. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.